In each FNAF game, the horror is usually achieved through the lack of information given to the player. This means that while the mechanics are simple, the game doesn't fully explain what they do, leaving it up to the player to figure them out through trial and error. Yeah, ask Markiplier, he'd know. However, there is one big way the game communicates information to you, and that's through the HUD. Also known as the heads up display, the HUD is what tells you the time, what night you're on, and what's going on with whatever resource you need to manage. And just like everything else in this godforsaken franchise, the HUD has gone through a lot of changes, so I'm going to go through each game and review each one. Yes, I'm really doing this, I should be revising for exams right now. I'm also going to use this as an opportunity to talk about the title screens too. I know they don't really count as HUDs, but it's my video. Starting off with the first game, and it's pretty solid. This title screen is great, not only at creating a good atmosphere, but also at making it clear what's being shown. There's nothing to be confused at here. You have the title to the left, the guy the title mentions to the right, and your options all neatly laid out in the corner. It's a bit simple, but that's not a bad thing. It works, and I'd rather have it be simple than overcomplicated. As for the in-game HUD, considering this was the first attempt at a HUD in the series, you'd expect there to be something missing or a questionable design choice, but no. Everything you need to know is here, it's not too obstructive, and the style, while simple again, looks really nice. There really isn't much to complain about here, but there is one small quirk. The time doesn't line up with the night number, it's a little off to the right. This pisses me off more than it should. Moving on to FNAF 2, and I really like this title screen. It's still pretty simple, but the inclusion of 3 animatronics instead of 1 does a really good job of filling the empty space that was prevalent in the first game. I also really like how the toy animatronics will flash into their withered counterparts sometimes, that's a nice touch. When you look at the in-game HUD though, everything kind of falls apart. What the hell is going on with the text here? The text in FNAF 1 looked slightly wonky if you paid close attention to it, but here it's right up in your face. None of the letters are aligned right, some of them are a little too high and some are a little too low. Look at the G in night, it's so far off to the right, it's nearly going into the H. This is the digital form of bad handwriting. And then there's the flashlight, don't even get me started on the flashlight. Okay, so firstly the F isn't capitalized like the N in night is, that's an interesting choice. The text is a little off-centered to the right, and the way it measures how much battery you have left is stupid. With 4 batteries, you'd assume that each one correlates to 1/4 of the power left in the flashlight, but nope. You don't run out of battery when it goes to 0, it actually keeps going and then drops to this blinking state before fully running out. So this resource that's measured with 4 bars actually has 6 stages to it. Okay, I might sound unnecessarily annoyed right now, and that's because I am, but I'm also mainly just confused as to how much of a downgrade the HUD suffered when it was so nice in the first game. I guess it does fit the more chaotic atmosphere with how disjointed the text is, but I'm not sure if that was the intention. Anyway, FNAF 3's title screen is alright. I really like the combination of black and dark green. It's nice to look at while also keeping the dark and moody appearance of the previous 2 games' title screens. Gonna have to dock some points for the fact that the title was shortened to an acronym. I mean, yeah, I'm using the acronym in the title of this video, but it rubs me the wrong way when the game itself shortens its title. Like, please don't call yourself FNAF to be more relatable to the community, just use your full legal name, Frederick. It's also kind of interesting how the 6th night was replaced with Nightmare. This is a fine change. It gives Night 6 a more intimidating feeling, but with the name Nightmare, you'd assume that something substantial has been changed up, but no, it's just a more aggressive Night 5. The in-game HUD is definitely an improvement over FNAF 2's, mainly because the text isn't all over the place anymore. It's also smaller, which makes it a bit less obstructive, only really being noticeable when you actually want to look at the time. That said, I'm not too fond of the font used. There's no curves in it, and the size difference between the numbers and the letters is kind of odd. Also, why is the N in night lowercase? I guess this kind of fits with the visual style of the rest of the game, so it's not that big of a deal, just not my cup of tea. Up next is FNAF 4, and right away I've got to say, this title screen looks amazing. The harsh red and black paired with the shot of the house does a great job at building a creepy atmosphere. Same goes for the animatronics around the edges. Their silhouettes all facing the house with their mouths open and tongues sticking out looks awesome. I thought they were bushes when I was younger. Also, we've went back to 6th night instead of Nightmare, which again, I don't really mind either way, but it's kind of strange how it changed back for this game when having it be called Nightmare would have fit really well, but whatever. Something interesting about the HUD this time around is that the night text has been removed entirely. I'm fine with this. I don't think I've ever forgotten what night I'm on, it literally tells you before you start playing. On top of this, the clock is a lot darker so it blends more with the environment, which I like. It helps immerse you in the game more. What doesn't help immerse you, however, is the tutorial overlay on the first night. Since FNAF 4 doesn't have a phone guy, the game relies on these chunks of text to teach you how things work. I really don't like this. Having the mechanics displayed right in front of you to read kind of takes you out of it. It doesn't feel like you're scrambling for information to try and survive when the game is just telling you everything you need to know right off the bat, which the phone calls in the first two games also do that, but it's amplified here now that all the information is in a text box on your screen. Then again, I don't know how else you could be taught these mechanics, and it is better than having to learn them through trial and error, so I can understand this approach. Moving on to sister location, and right off the bat, why is Funtime Freddy here? I know it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, but I'd argue that for this game, Baby holds way more importance. She's one of the main focuses of the story, and the game literally takes place in Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. On the plus side, I do like the sleek blue look of the title screen. I don't even like blue all that much, but the shade looks really nice and complements the black background really well. Looking at the game itself, there is no HUD. Yeah, since sister location just requires you to complete a set of tasks instead of surviving for a set amount of time, the clock has understandably been removed. That means we're just going to have to look at the custom night instead. Now this is more like it. The custom night features a gameplay style and HUD more similar to the first four games. This one displays the clock, power, usage and oxygen. You know, the usual. Honestly, there isn't much to say here. The text is nice and non-intrusive, and it tells you all you really need to know. Good job, sister location. Pizzeria Simulator's title screen confuses me. It presents itself as light-hearted and happy, as if it's trying to hide the fact that it's also a horror game, but you only start seeing this screen after you get the scene with Scrap Baby, so it's already clear that this is a horror game. I get that the tycoon management takes up a pretty big portion of the game, so it makes sense to represent it on the title screen, but I don't know. It would have been cool to have some sort of hint towards the horror aspect here. Also, check out this continue screen. Careful with the blinking arrow, Scott, you don't want to make things look too interesting now. As for the HUD in the office, there is no HUD. Again. You know, I could talk about Bonnie's fur colour instead if you want. Okay, well there is technically a HUD with these things telling you if the fan or computer is on or off, but for the sake of not making this video any more egregiously pointless than it already is, let's look at the HUD for the Tycoon segment. It's alright. It's a bit bland and stats aren't very clear about what they do either, like, oh wow, I have a high atmosphere stat. The fuck does that mean? It's fine though, it's easy to tell that having a higher stat means more money in some way and having a high risk is bad. I just think it could be a little more descriptive, or at the very least let you hover over the text to see more details about what a particular stat does. That brings us to the final game I'll be looking at, Ultimate Custom Night. Seeing as there's no title screen, let's just go straight into the gameplay. Due to the slight increase in animatronics, there's a few more things to worry about that the HUD displays here. We have the usual things, such as the power, usage and time, but with the addition of a sound meter, a timer and a temperature meter, or thermometer, whatever. Having a timer is actually a really nice quality of life feature. Besides being used to know when to check Funtime Foxy, it's also just really handy for knowing exactly how long you have until the end of the night. It also lets me know just how bad I am at the game. The temperature and sound are fine enough additions. They don't really have a passive function, but they are used to keep a few animatronics away, so I'd rather have them here than not. I'm impressed that all of these were able to fit in here without really hindering the gameplay experience. Compare this to FNAF 2, where the word night takes up more space than this clock and timer combined. Yes, more FNAF 2 slander, making a whole video on it wasn't enough. But yeah, the HUD's basically been perfected at this point. Seeing the gradual improvements made to the way the text is presented and how different elements are incorporated into them has actually been really interesting. And a waste of time. My two favourite things when looking at different topics. Jokes aside, while this sort of thing might seem stupid to analyse, it's important to see what does work and what needs to be improved upon. These are things you'll be looking at for basically the entire duration of your playthrough. Well, not anymore now that the games are fully 3D and don't have a universal HUD anymore, but still. Oh shit. So, what's the main thing to take away from this video? I don't fucking know, subscribe.